And I started to receive the most powerful and profound and beautiful information about money, wealth, and abundance. All the wealth and money I desire is available to me. But what I hadn't realized is how much crap I was carrying from the trauma that I experienced in my childhood. I hadn't realized that I was carrying this trauma, this pain, out of competition and separation into co-creation, collaboration. So I always see this web, this network of support.
Welcome to Mission Activated, where we bring you the stories of individuals who've awakened to their true purpose and are living a life of passion, impact, and alignment. I'm Aveline Clarke, your host, and I believe that when you're on mission, everything falls into place. Here, we share the journeys of those who've discovered their unique path and embraced their soul's calling. It's not just about making money in life and in business, it's about making a difference, living on purpose, and inspiring yourself and others along the way. Let's get to it. This episode is with the lovely Lara Waldman. She is a Canadian living in the UK and has done for, I think, over 20 years. She calls herself the Wealth Accelerator, in other words, known as a manifestation expert, healer, podcast host, and author of the book Money Manifestation Mastery. Lara is so down to earth and grounded, and her story really blew me away. She's definitely traveled that, the narrow path, the road less traveled, and she exemplifies what it means to be on path and on mission and follow that her inner soul's guidance all the time, as much as one can. But she's been on path since she was 18. She goes into the story and talks about what drove her to do what she is doing today, how she's helping people, and what brings her the most amount of joy. The story is very insightful and inspiring, and even though she's here to help people create more wealth in their life, and of course wealth is not just money, she's here to make a big difference, and she just shines through. It's a wonderful conversation, and please enjoy this one with Lara Waldman. Lara, hello, and thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I am delighted to be having this conversation with you today.
Likewise. And we were just chatting then about the weather and how different it is in our respective homes. Can you share with me whereabouts in the world you are right now?
So I'm in London, England. It is December, grey and rainy day. But I'm from Vancouver, Canada, so my accent's a bit funny.
Yeah, so you confuse people all the time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, let's get stuck into this. I'm so looking forward to this conversation. I've been thinking about it a lot because of who you are and what you do, and I'm just really grateful you're here. So I always ask my guests to take us through the journey, and I really would love you to take me through, I guess, where you began this journey that you've been on that's brought you to where you are today. And that could start, wherever it starts, it doesn't matter. So, would you like to share with me what that is, what that looks like?
Sure. It's been quite a long journey to get me where I am today. I'm now 46 years old, but I basically had a spiritual awakening when I was 18. And this awakening showed me a vision for my future, what I was here to do, my purpose on this planet, so to speak, which really confused me because I didn't really understand fully what I was seeing, because the job I do now, I didn't know was a thing. And, but I saw myself being interviewed, speaking to the world publicly about consciousness, about how we have the power to consciously create our lives. And I didn't even know about that consciously at that point. So I was seeing this vision, and my brain was like, oh, I'm going to be an actress. I'm going to be a famous actress. And then I'm going to be using that platform to talk about what I really want to talk about, which is consciousness and our power to create. So this took me on a kind of a wild journey. I was at university, and I basically, quit university. I after this vision, I was like, it felt like this sort of heart's calling, this little flame started waking up inside of me. And I started following it. And I was thinking now how bold and brave that was, really, to just sort of quit university, end my relationship. I flew over to London to go to theater school, just audition for theater schools, got in, left everything, moved over here, and then started the next phase of my journey. So, but what happened was that I started going to theater school, and I actually met my now husband, and I fell in love. And he was a meditator. He was meditating twice a day, and at that point, I'd stopped all of that um, kind of spiritual practices, if you will. I was really struggling physically, mentally, and emotionally at that time. I had a lot of digestive health issues. I had a lot of problems I was dealing with that I was kind of ignoring. And I was working 5 days a week, and I was going to theater school 5 days a week. And I was just like, hustle, hustle, go, go, go. But something inside of me knew I needed to meditate. And he was so calm and chill. And I was like, I was not calm and chill. So I was like, I need to go and do this meditation business. And this is where I had my kind of what I call my spiritual awakening part two, where I was meditating one day, hating it, and then found um, that I was sitting there, got really, really peaceful. And then I got this next vision. And this one was like, I sort of saw it, felt it, heard it. And it basically said, "You are a healer." And it was like, bah, 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 these like bright lights. And it was so intense and overwhelming to me. And what I ended up doing was collapsing in the fetal position, just sobbing, because in that moment I knew I wasn't going to be an actress, and I knew that that whole path was done. And I was really upset about it, very, very upset about it. But whatever this sort of voice or vision was, I was like, I got was really mad, and I was like, fine, whatever this healing thing is, I don't know what healing is, but just lead me to it. I'm not looking for it. Super pissed off. And then within 6 months, I was working as a healer, working with clients, and it all just went because when things are aligned, lots of amazing things can happen very quickly. So basically, I just pivoted from acting into being a healer, channel, spiritual coach very fast, started working with clients. And then this was this hugely powerful time where I was starting to wake up my kind of gifts as a healer, my psychic gifts, and not only that, really understanding how healing works on all the levels. So our mental health, emotional health, physical health, and the interconnection between all of it. And I developed this skill or ability or gift to be able to help people navigate pain and problems guided by their soul. So when people would come to me with a problem, physical, mental, emotional, circumstantial, I would see what was happening on a soul level and the purpose of the pain or the challenge they're experiencing and how to navigate it. And my clients started having exceptional results and amazing results, which was awesome. And what we think is the problem, that sort of, I call it the surface level symptom, is actually not usually the root of the problem. So I would be taken into the root, get to the root, transform the root, and then that symptom they're experiencing starts to shift. So this was the next phase of my life, which was very, very powerful. And yeah, just completely transformed my life. And what was interesting, because I was all about helping and healing everyone else. But what I hadn't realized is how much crap I was carrying from my childhood, from the trauma that I experienced in my childhood. And I hadn't realized that I was carrying this trauma, this pain. And it kind of revealed itself to me as I was trying to help others heal. I was also healing myself and starting to understand the roots of the kind of physical health issues I was experiencing, my mental health, emotional health, my eating disorders, my relationship with my body, all the problems that I was experiencing started to shift and change and heal. I'd already done a lot of work with diet and nutrition, but it was like a miracle to me. So that was the next phase, which was a very profound time that was going on in my 20s. And then I got pregnant. And that was a sort of accident, if you will. That was a surprise. And became a mother I got pregnant at 26, had her just when I turned 27. And this was this hugely important and powerful time for me of becoming a mother. Obviously meant all my work stopped, but this next phase was really another wave of my healing journey, which again I hadn't quite realized. But raising my daughters has been just a very, very profound experience around healing my relationship, with myself and my children and my past. So I went fully into parenting at this point. And I was home full time with the girls. I ended up having a second baby, sorry, 3 years after that. My husband was working. We had two children. And at this point, was seeing a few clients here and there when I could, but we couldn't afford childcare. And what happened at this point was we were really, really struggling financially. So essentially my husband's income wasn't even covering our basic bills. And it wasn't until my second child was 2 years old that our financial reality hit hard. And it's sort of, it's so interesting. I guess at this point I was 32. And it's slightly embarrassing, but what I realize is that at this point, I had never really thought about money. I hadn't really cared about money. I wasn't interested in money. I was all about helping everyone. I was all about healing and saving the planet and all of this stuff. I'd actually come from wealth. I grew up quite wealthy. I grew up around people with money. That was very much my normal, but I found it cold, disconnected. I experienced a lot of trauma through that kind of experience. So I was like, screw that. It's all about spirituality. It's all about the heart. It's all about the soul. It's all about purpose. It's not about the material world until, my material reality kind of hit me hard. So I remember, and this was my like part three, my big awakening part three, which was I just remember the house was a mess, like little kids, crap everywhere, like hanging laundry, these tiny little socks, just mess and overwhelm and exhaustion and no money. And at that point, I collapsed on the sofa and kind of went into meditation. And for the first time ever, I asked, I remember saying, what is going on with money and this planet? And I had never asked my inner guidance, my channel, about money before. And then this incredible flood of information came in. Because when I ask questions, I do channel and I can receive all sorts of beautiful information and guidance from that place. And I started to receive the most powerful and profound and beautiful information about money, wealth, and abundance. And the guidance was very much telling me that all the wealth and money and abundance I desire is available to me. It's here. And I was sitting there going, well, if it's available to me and it's here, how come it's not in my reality? And then my guidance at that point showed me, well, Lara, you've built up all these walls around you. So I was showing all these walls that I built up around me. I was like, well, and I was like, what are they doing there? And I went, oh, they're your walls of protection. And I was like, well, I don't want those walls of protection. I want all that wealth that you're showing me is available to me. And they said, oh, well, you have to bring the walls of protection down if you want to access all of this wealth and abundance. So I was very confused. And, but this was the start of this very powerful next wave, my part three, which was about starting to learn how to heal and transform my relationship with money, my relationship with wealth, and understanding that I had all of these blocks and barriers to money that I didn't even know existed. It was mostly unconscious. So for about 2 years, I was in this very private inner transformation around transforming my relationship with money and following my soul and heart around wealth and money. And I was then shown my next wave of my purpose. And I laugh because I say like this was like the worst information I'd ever received, because nothing in me, there was no bit of me that was interested in working with money, talking about money, especially teaching money about money, and then also business. It was very clear that I needed to get more into the game of business. I was running a business, but not properly. And I was being shown myself as like needing to really step up as a proper business owner, and it was all terrible news. But I followed my guidance one step at a time, and slowly but surely, I was guided to write my book, Money Manifestation Mastery. I was guided to launch my first course. The first course was a 12-week, basically how to manifest money, abundance activation program. My clients started having amazing results doing that work. And then over time, it's just sort of fine tuned and refined. I had to go through a very, very uncomfortable transition. And all around my mindset, all around my beliefs, all around my inner game, my relationship with myself as a healer. There's so much in the spiritual community around, money's bad, money's the root of evil, rich people are bad. Um, I had to undo a lot of that inner thoughts and beliefs that were really surprised me because it was so unconscious
Mm.
to feel brave. I was so terrified of what people would think of me, if I'd be judged by friends, by family, by my community. And, I have been, as well. I had to really overcome my fear of, rejection, judgment, abandonment, criticism. Oh my goodness. So it was quite a ride to kind of get myself ready to really lead in this subject. But here we are. And I'm so, so glad I listened and followed this, crazy and wonderful guidance, because now I've been, working with incredible entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders, professionals worldwide to help them with their inner game of wealth creation, essentially, of welcoming more money into their life, into their business, scaling their businesses, but helping them to do that in alignment with their soul, their heart, and their body, and having like profound results that go way deeper than money alone. So this work is, we like, all my clients and I say, we're like, the money's great, but it's like the symptom or the cherry on top of a much deeper, richer process.
Mm.
So that brings me, where we are now, and it's been quite a ride.
And take a breath. Woo! Oh my gosh. Yes. That fascinating story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I had some questions as you were going, and then you would answer. It's like, oh, thank
Oh,
God. But I want to go back to when you were 18.
yeah.
When you first had that awakening, the vision, were you frightened of it?
Oh, yeah. It was terrifying. It was really scary. I didn't understand what I was feeling. I didn't understand what I was seeing or hearing. And it was very beyond the world that I knew or the life that I was living or what I thought I was supposed to be doing. Yeah, it was terrifying. But at the same time, I call it like this little flame in my heart. There was a part of me that knew it was right. It was like this, I call that, now I know it's my intuition, my inner guidance, my higher self. But then it was like there was a knowing, and I was just following that. So, and I do think now, wow, that was quite brave,
Yeah.
because it was completely counter anything that was in my lived experience. But I guess it was strong enough that I knew it was right. And then then I fell in love with my the first time I ever fell in love, and he was also, like an editor, script writer, director, and he was in that kind of on that path. So he was like, follow your heart, Lara, follow your heart. So that also really helped me, having his support.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, was there someone around you that kind of gave you that strength or mirrored that strength and the ability to follow that path? Because I could imagine as an
Mhm.
18-year-old, that's not part of your world. It's
No.
spirituality, any kind of intuition, self-awareness is just not there. Then to have this spiritual awakening, it would be quite shocking.
Yeah, it
Mm.
was. But what was interesting is, my mom kind of had she had a sort of breakdown, which was tied into a lot of the trauma I experienced. But at the same time, she also kind of started waking up spiritually. So there were a lot of books lying around the house around energy healing and consciousness. And so they were around and I was dabbling in it. But then I think she got scared and shut it down.
Mm.
And then I think I picked up the baton.
Yeah.
But so she'd started something that then she couldn't really continue. And then I just remember just reading books. So I started reading books on consciousness, on sort of spirituality, on energy. And it just hit something like this deep, deep knowing inside of me, that again, I didn't understand at the time. So there was a bit of that. And then my boyfriend, that first love, he was also quite a spiritual guy. And I think it was really just him. And some of my friends were, open, but yeah. So it was, and this has been my path really of often not really having a lot of people around me that get me. And I've had to sort of really follow my inner knowing despite, those around me or society around me.
So it's been a self-led, largely self-directed
Yeah.
path. Well,
Yeah.
guided from above, but you've gone on your own.
Yeah,
Or
I have. I have, yeah. It's been quite lonely. So that was a big story of feeling very alone, unsupported. But that was a story that was tied into a very deep wound, but it was also so yeah, it's been hard. That's what's made it very hard for me. This changed now because I've manifested lots of support. But yeah, it was pretty challenging for
yeah,
well, actually for quite a lot of it, to be honest, on that level.
I could imagine. And
Mm.
and what about your mum? How did that your path change the relationship with her, and has she opened up since?
Well, well, my relationship with my mom is was the inspiration for everything that I do. Um, and my desire to help and heal my mom was actually the activator. It kind of woke up my inner healer because she was really, really struggling. Um, I won't go into the details of it because that's her own personal story, but it it woke up my healer. And I have spent and I call this my my mother wound and my wounded healer. Is everything that was driving me. I found out later, I didn't know this for quite a long time, that everything that was driving me was actually coming from wanting to like save and rescue my mom.
Mm,
But turns out she actually didn't want to join me on this path.
yeah,
So she continued as she is. And I was like a little puppy, to be like, let me help you, let me help you, let me help you. And kind of sort of being open, like she's open, but not actually wanting to do the work to go on the healing journey. It took me honestly 20 years to finally stop trying to help and heal my mom and accept it for what it is. So that's been a huge, huge learning around um, the difference between trauma and our wounded child versus what is heart, body, soul aligned. Because if I listened to my soul and my inner guidance, it was telling me to kind of leave it. But my little girl was like, but I wanted to bring her along with me. So what I was doing was trying to help and heal her to bring her along with me so we could move forward together. But unfortunately, honestly, this was such a huge, massive one that took me way too long to understand is that I was actually terrified of going at it alone. And what I saw in my future was that where I was going was actually beyond my mom, was beyond my family and beyond a lot of friends. Like they weren't coming with me. Not to say that the relationships end, but where I was going was a unique path. It's definitely not for everyone. And I get that now. So she actually, in a way, most of the things I learned was in her not coming with me on this journey. So I've had a very challenging relationship with my mom. And
mm,
yeah, and it's taken me a long time to find peace with what it is and let it go and allow it to be where it is and how it is and stop trying to fix and heal and help. So my therapist called this part of me my little miss fix it, and bless that part of me because that I wouldn't be where I am without her. But at
yeah,
some point, that pattern started to become a massive block when it came to growing my business and wealth creation and moving forward with my life. So, yeah, that was a tough one to learn.
yeah. Thank you for being so vulnerable there. Having had a tough relationship with my mum, different but similarities, and I'm sure listeners would be acknowledging that too. And even the pattern you described, the little Miss Fix It, I think we can relate to that. It's just I'm really grateful that you brought that up because I feel that I don't know, is that in the female lineage? Is that like a wound that we've carried on or a little archetype that we've carried on? And there's a part of us that wants to try and fix. I don't know. I've seen it many times. and felt it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a funny thing because it can be like a superpower in some ways. It can create those wounded aspects of us can create a lot of success or drive.
Mm,
But what happens, I've found, and this is with coaching my clients too, is these patterns that actually come from wounds or trauma that actually maybe get you to where you are now can then become a block and a hindrance to your next level.
yeah.
So in order to move forward, sometimes we have to let go and shift the patterns, shift the habits. So I call mine my little miss fix it or my wounded healer, because that part of me wants to help and save and rescue everyone, but I self abandon and I can't actually move forward with what I need to do. So I spin and get stuck and like leak energy and leak time and um, struggle to focus on where I need to go, which is the aligned action.
Mm,
So, so yeah, it's like light and shadow. There's good things and
yeah.
like bad things about these patterns, but this is why we have to really listen. Like, is this pattern serving me where I'm going next? And it's hard because then you realize it's everywhere. It's not just with my relationship with my mom, it's in my business, it's in my home, it's in my relationships, and then it's like a kind of a cleaning up um in different areas of life to be able to move
Mm.
forward with what the results you want to create.
If you're loving this conversation and want to dive deeper into purposeful work, then it's time to thank the Six Star Leaders community for making this episode possible. The Six Star Leaders are a group of purpose driven business owners committed to doing business differently by embracing their unique genius and skills to make a real impact. It's a space for learning, growth, and truly becoming empowered in everything that you do. If you're ready to discover your own sixth star, go to bit.ly/six-star community-intro and book a chat to learn more. We look forward to seeing you. How long have you been working with clients on the money side, like the wealth manifestation?
Yeah, so I wrote my book 7 years ago, so it's probably about 8 years on focusing on money. I
Mhm.
mean, I was sort of doing it quietly, but more publicly, more out, probably I would say the last 7, 8 years.
Okay.
Mm.
And how have you managed to pull those walls of protection down that you kept for so long?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really interesting journey. So I talk about, it's like the invisible barriers to our money blocks. I call them our money blocks. And it's so much deeper than money alone. But yeah, it's about so for example, like what I love about this path and why it's never boring is you think you know yourself and then you start focusing on something that you want to manifest, something that you want to create. And the first thing that happens is you have to address everything that's out of alignment with that. And so my patterns of protect these walls, right? I was like, bring them down. And actually turns out, no, actually I wasn't ready to bring them all down right away because I had, I mean, it's kind of a quite a long journey, but I hadn't even realized that I was doing this, number one. And it was around my vulnerability. It was around my sensitivity. And I hid and masked those parts of myself. So I'm a funny mix of like really powerful, really strong, and also very sensitive, traumatized, right? Really, really, there's a very, very deep and vulnerable sensitive part of me that I hid and masked. So I would sort of front and present, this sort of confident, seemingly extroverted, capable person, but underneath was like a total mess. So, and I think that's pretty normal. I've been coaching humans for over 20 years. It's like we all have it, but we tend to mask it. And so when we block and max our sensitivity, our vulnerability, we also block our capacity to receive. So if I'm like, I'm fine, I'm strong, I'm capable, like there's no room really. And it's an out energy. Let me help you. Let me give to you. Let me change, it's an out energy.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to receive. I didn't know how to let in because I was hiding the part that essentially didn't feel safe. And that comes from my childhood. That comes from part of me just never being received and not knowing, thinking that part of me that I kind of masked and hid, like I hid her in the shadows of shame. I thought she was bad and disgusting and wrong and too much and unlovable. And Yeah, just there's no room for her in the world, which left me feeling completely alone and isolated and really hiding, a lot of my magic and hiding a lot of my gifts and my love and all of that. So it's been a little journey to it feels safe to bring those walls down and be like, this is me. My rejection sensitivity has been through the frigging roof. My fear of attack and abandonment, 'cause I was abandoned. I was abandoned by my mother. I was attacked. I was verbally criticized and verbally abused by my mother. So like that trauma runs deep, and then of course that mirrors everywhere. So it's like, if I am me, I'll be attacked, I'll be abandoned. So if I'm me, it was always like, I'll be successful and wealthy and all alone, and that was the story. So honestly, it's taken like time to kind of just feel safe enough to bring those walls down, to be like, here I am, here it is. And I'm safe to receive. I'm safe to be myself, and I'm safe to receive. I'm safe to speak. I'm safe to be seen, and I'm allowed. You know. So yeah, we're in a really good place with that now. And there's always more work to be done, of course. But I think I was quite shocked and surprised, because I don't think I quite realized how much trauma I had.
Mm.
Don't think I quite realized the depth that
Mm.
um the impact on me. It was sort of in a blind spot. And so this is why I love working with money blocks, because they expose our blind spots, they expose our shadow, they expose also our power, right? Because in there is incredible power. But we have to feel safe. So what I've realized when it comes to money manifestation and wealth creation, we have to feel safe to create what I call integrated wealth. And that's a process, of feeling safe to be vulnerable.
Mm. You've lived a life of, well, since you were 18, of following your soul's knowing, your heart space, the flame. At what point did you think to yourself or feel that you knew you were on path, as in, this is what I'm here to do? Or
Mm.
have you always felt that? Like,
When I was 18.
yeah.
So I I knew I was on path then. Um and then but what I didn't know is how hard it would be in some ways too, because it sounds great. It's like, follow your soul, follow your heart, get into alignment. This is what I teach. Creating an alignment with your heart, body, and soul. It's freaking beautiful. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. But the challenge is like kind of all the undoing, the rewiring, I call it, of your thoughts, your beliefs, the stories. But it's not just on a mind level. It's not just emotionally. It's actually through your nervous system. It's actually on a sort of body cellular level. And that process. And then there's times where that we have to pivot. So I'll be on track, and then there's like a block that comes up, which usually manifests in some kind of problem. And then we need to pivot. So being in alignment is a bit like sailing at sea, right? The weather is shifting and moving. We've got to shift and like adjust our sails and work with nature. We have to work with life. So I've been, like, I don't know, I'm like some kind of crazy, but I've been like like 100% committed to following this guidance since I was 18. But I have gone not off course, but gone into inner conflict, particularly around having kids and being married. Like it's been very challenging. I've been married for 20, or with my husband for 24 years. Lots of challenges and obstacles around being myself in relationship, and being myself in motherhood, and all the sort of, I would say, like the indoctrination of what that means, of how you should be as a wife and should be as a mother. And I would get kind of pulled out of my center. I'd kind of go into inner conflict a lot.
Mhm.
My soul's guidance was always telling me what to do. I just would be in like I fight it. I'm like, I have a lot of objections. I'm like, I have resistance, I have objections. My poor guidance is like, gosh, this one's really making this complicated.
She's a
Um,
bit on this one.
she's she's a tough nut to crack. So I'd say since 18, but I kind of have gone in and out of it, or I've known, or it's taken me a little bit of time to really be brave and bold to take what I call aligned action. So, but I have been so stubborn in the sense that I know it's right. I trust it. It's like I've manifested so many things that
Mm.
are frigging incredible, like dream life for most people. There's still more things I want to manifest. But so I've learned to trust it even when it seems crazy to me. But it takes me a while sometimes to get on board and like take the action because it usually scares the crap out of me.
I love listening to you, Lara. You've embodied this mission, this life of having to be on path, like moment to moment, almost by the sounds of it. Like,
Mm,
there's not many people I think that I've met in my time who have a vocation where they're being called to be in alignment, so moment to moment, or at
mm,
least checking in with that. Because we're all on different paths. And for me, I know there are days when I'm probably not even feeling whether I am in alignment or not, and other days where everything is in alignment and I fully feel it on every cell. So, and I'd like to get more into the habit or the practice of feeling that alignment more regularly and giving myself that space. You're living that day to day, and I hear what you're saying about the challenge, because it's no, of course, life is challenging, and peeling back our onion layers is challenging. Yet
yeah.
that's what I found is part of the process of being human and evolving as we're here on
Mm.
this journey.
And I would say like it is a discipline and it's a practice. So being living in alignment isn't just happening to me by accident. It's a practice. I do it. I choose it every day because one, it makes me feel better. So it'll take
Mm.
me out of anxiety or doubt or stress or avoidance or whatever. And I know it's going to create something greater for me. And it's how I navigate pain and problems in finance, in business, in my life. My soul, my heart will guide me through every problem, health issues, relationship issues. It's how I actually don't know how to do being a human without it, because it's like I don't know how anyone navigates through problems without it, because for me, it's like a superpower. So
Yeah.
but you have to do it as a decisions, because my brain doesn't naturally our brains are kind of more in survival, right? Or we're seeking pleasure, we're seeking comfort all the time. We're seeking the familiar. So it's a practice to go, okay, what is my soul saying? What is my heart saying? What is my body's wisdom saying? And it's usually really calm, really clear, really quite practical as well. No drama, no BS, quite direct. Um, and it usually means change. So what I was thinking or what I did want to do or what my default kind of hardwiring is usually saying a different story. So it's like, all right, what am I going to choose? I'm going to choose to lead from, I don't know, my fear or comfort or the pleasure seeking part of me, or am I going to choose to follow my heart and soul? And it's always like, there's that moment where I could just choose my comfort lane, or I can go into this unknown, scary future. But I've just learned to just sort of trust the process, keep going. And then amazing things happen. But every time I think, oh my God, every time I'm like, my brain's going, "Really?" So this is just a game. It's almost like a game I choose to play every day.
Yeah. That's great. A great way to put it. So here's a question: do you
Yeah.
think there's phase four?
Do you think there's no doubt. No doubt there's phase 4. Yeah. I don't
Well,
know. I think I might be sort of going through it right now, but, yeah, I'll tell you in a little bit.
okay, we'll have a catch up later, and we
Yeah.
can talk about. Um, what do you do that brings you the most amount of joy? That natural joy where you're just using your
Mm.
genius and you're just like in that state of bliss.
Great question. I think by myself, it's being in nature. I'm really into cold water swimming, and moving my body every day. So I love that time where I call it manifesting with movement. So that's what gets me in the zone as I move my body and do my manifesting techniques. With that brings me a lot of joy. What brings me so much joy outside of that is basically coaching clients, like, or not even clients, just having this level of conversation where someone comes to me, they're like, "I've got a problem and I want to solve it." And they're open and receptive to really doing this work of listening to the heart and the soul and the body, and being willing to face blocks and overcome it. And just then the breakthroughs that happen. Honestly, I think that is just my absolute, I could just do that all day long. And luckily that is what I get to do all day long. Yeah, that is what I love. And it just feels like we're in the magic of the moment,
Yeah.
and everything feels possible, and what felt impossible suddenly feels possible, and what felt so hard suddenly feels like good. And just witnessing those breakthroughs of going from like anxiety to excitement is just the best for me, the best feeling ever.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
Do you get people asking you, give me the silver bullet, Lara. Just, just give me that one little, what's that silver bullet? What's the, you know what I mean? The magic bullet to the money manifestation. Or do you seem to attract clients that realize it's a process?
Well, I train my clients to understand it as a process. And like when we're creating wealth, like true wealth, which isn't just about money. This is not about fast food. We're like not doing fast food money manifesting. We
Yeah.
can. So I talk about, slow cooked nutritious meals versus fast food. I have clients that manifest large amounts of money very fast. It is totally possible, and it's happened over and over and over again. So we stay open to that possibility, but I wanna train people into the power to manifest. I call them manifestation masters. So this isn't like, "Oh, like, it just popped out of thin air. How did that happen? Oh, it must have been my affirmations." No, I'm like, "I'm gonna teach you how this works, why it works, the long game of it." So I attract clients that have done usually a lot of work on themselves already, a lot of self-development work. They've either been in their profession for a long time, they're skilled, they're capable, they're qualified, and they understand about work. Do you know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
willing to work,
Yeah.
and play the long game. It's not the sexiest of sell, but it's like people who really understand the game of business or the game of money or the game of just being a human. It's like, this is not quick fix business.
Mm.
But having said that, there are like, it's just about remembering, and there are little silver bullets, which is, it's not about money,
Mm.
right? You have the power to create lives within you and to take your power back. So this is all about power. This is all about your power to create. Money is a symptom of it. It's like, and yes, there's practicals that you need to learn and educate yourself. We're not educated in money. We're not educated in wealth creation for the most part. But the thing that activates, the activating piece lies within. And so I always say it's all about coming home to yourself.
Mm.
Stop hyper fixating out and go in and tap that inner source that creates the outer source, which is about co-creation, which our brains are not designed to see so much. But deep in the soul and the heart and the body, that part of you knows this. So
Mm.
it's like a deep natural wisdom and a natural ability that we've just haven't been taught, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my thing. That's my little silver bullet. And when you get lost or scared and lack or scarcity or whatever, or not enough, or I'm not getting this, not getting that, it's like, leave it, come back in, come
Yeah.
back into your inner source and start within to create without.
Sounds like you're teaching people to get out of their brains and into their inner being more and creating that habit. Would that be right? Because I know from my
Yeah.
own experience, I was taught to just be in my brain
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we need, on my point of view, is our brain needs to be in leadership of your creative power. So it's
Mm.
like a servant, you
Yeah.
know? Your soul or your heart is the CEO and your brain is the PA. So and we have it the other way around,
Yeah.
really. It's very limited in its perception of what's possible. It's also about leadership. It's about self-leadership, and it's about being better humans in the world. Rather than being reactive, we're being in conscious creation and conscious leadership of ourselves. That's
Mm.
like my real passion about all this. And I want you to be well resourced so you can go out and do amazing things in the world and thrive, get out of lack into thriving
Mm.
and becoming fully alive and enjoying this very precious and very short life.
That's just gorgeous. I love it. This is why I had you on. Now I know that we've got some time pressure here. So I just want to ask you now, what's on the horizon for you for the next 2 years? Or have you got some kind of goal, or are you letting it unfold naturally?
Well, I've got my visions,
Yes.
and the timeline, I usually try to collapse all timelines
Yep.
because some things take longer than I think. Some things want to have but be faster than I think. But the real vision or sort of the mission of my company is Living Abundance, is that we have this global online network, which is beautiful. I've got my, two core programs, my Living Abundance Mastermind, Living Abundance Leaders program, but we're also running live events. So we run live events in London, and my bigger vision is that we are running these events or creating communities, in-person communities. So we're starting here in London in the UK, want to bring it over to the States, want to bring it over to Australia, and eventually to South Africa. So I have this vision of global community of leaders, professionals, entrepreneurs, creating networks and communities all around the world, but also in real life, not just
Mhm.
in an online community. So the online community is already set up. So those are my sort of bigger dreams that I'm seeing of really building this network and community where we support each other. And this is what happens in my businesses, where business owners are like, money's exchanging hands, we're exchanging resources, we're supporting each other
Yeah.
out of competition
Mm.
and separation into co-creation, collaboration. I always see this network of
Lovely.
support. So that's really where we're going next. I need to keep building this London, UK branch for now. But that's where we're going. That's
That's
the vision.
very interesting. Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you?
Well, you can head over to my website, larawaldman.com. We got a wealth of resources there for you. Check out my podcast, Money Manifestation Mastery. I've got all free tools and resources there. I'm on Instagram, Lara Waldman Official, YouTube, Lara Waldman Abundance Activator, LinkedIn, Lara Waldman, Facebook, Lara Waldman Abundance Activator. So you can find me on any of those social media platforms as well.
Wonderful. Before I let you go, I would love for you to just share a piece of advice, or maybe just something to leave our listeners with that might help them think some more about what you've shared today, or something else.
Yeah. So what I'd say is whatever pain, problem, or challenge you're experiencing is your opportunity for a beautiful breakthrough. If you work with that pain or problem consciously and mindfully, guided by your heart, body, soul, it's like your gateway. And what people tend to go into pain avoidance, not wanting to face the hard stuff, wanting to kind of buffer and avoid. But if we can create a safe space to go into it, called the pain portal to prosperity, there is an absolutely beautiful breakthrough for you on the other side. This is one of my superpowers. I'd love to support you with it.
Thank you so much, Lara. I have absolutely so enjoyed having you here. I hope I can have you back on the show at another time. I think we could definitely go into detail and in a particular topic or two. And yeah, so thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It'd be my great pleasure to come back again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Mission Activated. If today's conversation resonated with you, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Remember, your mission matters. When you live on purpose, not only do you transform your own life, but you inspire others to do the same. Until next time, stay aligned, keep activated. I'll see you then.